Right, guys, welcome back to a new episode of No Limits. Once again, I'm joined by Deep Singh, Harshan Bisla. These guys did a great job on the last episode. And there's a lot to talk about today, boys. But let's start off with how's your guys' day been?
Bro, honestly, other than school, it's been pretty good. Just got through some schoolwork, and that's about it, really. I've been looking forward to this.
Yes, sir. What about you, Harshan?
Same, bro. I mean, we were chilling earlier today. It was pretty good. Oh, just getting
Yeah,
by though. Chilling.
yeah, I was excited for this one. There's so much to talk about. And let's get right into it, man. First, we got the boy, Conor McGregor, back in the
Jeez.
fucking news. This guy, so I'll give you a little run through. He posted a little clip of him boxing, not actually MMA, but boxing. I guess teasing the fans he might be making a boxing return. And in my opinion, there's one guy he needs to fight, and that's Jake Paul. That's the fucking money fight. And speaking on that, as we know, Jake Paul always likes to fucking reply to those. He's been doing it for a while now. And Connor has never directly responded to Jake. He's responded in like interviews asking about Jake or Logan. But but surprisingly, Connor ends up what's it called? Responding with a little video. He's like shadow boxing in his room. He's like jackass. It was a fucking funny video. And that leads the question, like, do you guys think this fight ever happens? Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor.
Honestly, I don't think the fight's gonna happen. I think like this has been going on for a few months now, then going back and forth. I think even more than a few months now. But they've been going back and forth for a while, especially with Jake coming out on Instagram. He's always like clowning Conor. He clowns the UFC, clowns Dana. He's trying to get a fight in the UFC against like McGregor or Jorge. He's been doing this for a while, and I just don't see it happening. I don't think Conor's gonna pick the fight, and I don't think Dana's gonna agree to it either.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe not an active UFC fighter. Like we have seen Jake fight retired ones, but as long as Connor's active in the UFC, I don't see this happening. Maybe when he retires, like there's definitely a chance. But as of right now, it's just entertainment banter. That's about it.
I think it's one of those things where it's like too good to be true. I
Yeah,
really
something like
wish
that.
I really wish Dana allows it, but you're right. As long as Connor is in the UFC, I don't see this fight happening. But that doesn't mean I don't want it to happen. I really do want it to happen actually. And
Oh my God.
like
Yeah, great.
like speaking of like not just if it will happen or do we want it to happen, who do you guys think wins? Like I'll start off.
Okay.
This is my thought process behind who wins. I think if they have a boxing match. By the way, this is strictly boxing, not MMA. Because I think if it's MMA, that's a different story. But according
Honor
to boxing,
slaughters.
yeah, in boxing, Jake has the reach advantage, the height advantage, and the boxing and the weight
Boxing
advantage.
experience. Oh,
Yeah, but here's the thing about Connor. Unlike Jake's other opponents, where Jake has been the A side, bringing in all the views and putting the pressure on his opponents, this time Connor will be the A side, as Connor, in my opinion, does have the bigger name. And Connor has been doing this longer. So I think it's closer than what many people think. But like what I think is Jake beating Woodley, especially by knocking him out, really gave me confidence in him being able to beat Connor. But then on the other hand, I think Connor is a beautiful striker, better than Woodley. So if I would have to make a final prediction, it's tough, man, but I'm giving the slight edge to Jake right now. I don't know if you guys agree, but what do you guys think?
Okay, okay. For me, I'll probably say like honestly, like I see where you're coming from. Jake honestly is a really good boxer. I think he is a really good boxer. I think he's improved so much. He puts in the time, he puts in the work, he puts in the hours. Um, but honestly, I gotta go with Connor. Even though Jake is bigger and he's been training for a while now and he's been training consistently, Connor is a phenomenal striker. He's very precise with his punches. He's got a lot of punching power. He's able to take the damage, and not even just that. Even though his fight against Floyd, Floyd definitely didn't take that as seriously. Conor performed very well against Floyd. I thought his counter striking was great, and Conor's been striking for so long, and he specifically took up boxing as his first martial art when he was young. So because of that, I'm probably going to give it to Conor. But I think it would be pretty entertaining to watch, especially like the build up. I think the build up would be the best part.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like just imagine the press conference; it would be so fucking funny. But like Conor's just such a gifted striker. I think I lean towards him. But after that second fight with Woodley, Jake had, it's definitely much closer. Like if that fight never happened, I would have said Conor probably slaps him pretty badly. But since that fight went down and knocked him out with a clean shot, it's much closer than a lot of people are going to look at it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, Bisa, you gave it to Conor?
Yeah, just for now at least. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Conor, but it's definitely really close. Yeah.
See, but now I think if Jake ends up fighting Tommy Fury and Jake wins, that's against a quote unquote professional boxer, then I think I'm gonna give it to Jake for sure, because that's him proving a lot. That's not just him fighting a UFC fighter and then people making excuses. I think if Jake beats an actual boxer in Tommy Fury, which I wish is the next fight in Jake's return, but I think that solidifies him as he'll probably beat Conor.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because it sucks because he hasn't fought a legitimate boxer yet. I know they were supposed to fight, but shit happened. Yeah, like I want to give him all the credit because he does deserve it, like especially the knockout against Woodley. But since he's never done it against a legitimate boxer, it takes a lot away for me, at least.
Yeah,
Not just you. It's
yeah. For me, like I have to agree with what Bisa said. He did fight like a retired UFC fighter who was almost in his 40s, was coming off like a 3-fight losing streak, got knocked out by people like Vicente Luque. And like Woodley is he is a wrestler. That's what he's known for. And Conor knocking him out, even though it was an impressive knockout, the way he like slightly faked to the body, which made like Woodley drop his left hand to try to parry the punch, and he came with the right hook, knocking him out. Like that was really nice. It's just that he did it against an elite wrestler that knows how to throw a punch, but not at that level of a pro boxer. But if he does like fight Tommy Fury and beats him, I think Jake has to be the favorite then.
Yeah, agreed. And the thing about Tommy Fury, like we talk about Jake's opponents, I still think he has an impressive resume if you're looking on it on paper compared to other boxers. I'm not saying it's the best. I think Tyron Woodley was a tough fight, but if you guys really think about it, you look at Tommy Fury's competition, it's terrible, bro. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
dude, fucking
for sure.
Terrible. He fights trash cans.
Yeah, a lot of bums on that list of his wins.
Yeah, but I guess that's what happens with boxing, right? And they try to pad up the record.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with boxing. Like it needs to follow more of a UFC, what's it called? Like platform, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, because boxing is all over the place, especially with all those like championships. It's so confusing. Like if you're just starting out watching combat sports and you go to boxing, it's like all over the place. You wouldn't know where to start.
Or you got like the Super America's middleweight champ.
Yeah, it's like
the actual middleweight championship, the McDonald's KFC double supreme patty championship. Like with boxing, it's just there's too many belts. Female boxing is non-existent. 4 major organizations co-promoting is a problem. There's just too many problems when it comes to boxing.
But as you're talking about female boxing is non-existent, that's not totally true. As there's going to be Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, arguably 2 of the GOAT female boxers. And guess who it's run by? It's co-promoted by Jake Paul and Eddie Hearn, which is crazy, which is like, who knew Jake Paul would come in, make such a big impact on the sport of boxing, and have Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor headlining Madison Square Garden. Like that's huge for female boxing.
Oh, bro, that
Yeah,
is huge.
that
Especially with
is
like,
actually very big. Yeah, for sure.
especially with like how they were treated before, like female boxing. Like people didn't really watch female boxing or care for female boxing that much. But with Jake Paul, like people are actually paying attention, looking at these females and seeing that they're actually great athletes and they know how to box at a very, very high level. And that's really good for them that they're getting that exposure.
Yeah, honestly, sports in general, like female sports, they're actually getting more and more attention every year. They're breaking records, so it's actually pretty good for the community.
WNBA is also getting a lot of more attention now,
Yeah.
especially.
Amanda
Uh,
Serrano is a beast. Like Katie Taylor, I'm not too familiar with, but watching Amanda on the undercards of Jake Paul, she's a beast. And I hope that fight does good numbers for the future of female boxing.
Oh yeah, like I've seen some Amanda Serrano's clips, and I saw her versus. I'm not sure who her opponent was, but I think it was on some Jake Paul undercard, and I think it was an older one, but she completely like torched her opponent. Like she was really impressive. Her technique was nice. Her speed, she's crazy fast. Like that's impressive, honestly. Her hand speed is really impressive. So I'm happy that she's getting the exposure that she deserves.
Yep. And there's a lot of returns. Speaking on boxing returns, KSI seems motivated to be back in the ring after I think like a 3 year break. Everyone wants to see him back, but the issue is there's rumors he might be fighting Alex Wasabi, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to see that. I
that's a,
really don't want to see that.
that's such a like shitty return fight for KSI. It's just a letdown. Like, a better fight for him would be somebody like Austin McBroom or somebody like that. I just don't see it going too well with Alex Wasabi. I don't know. It wouldn't get as much as attention.
Yeah, I agree with what Bissell said. Alex Wasabi is like KSI's return opponent. I don't really think people will care to watch the fight, and people will watch the fight, but a lot of people will also watch the fight because people will just believe that KSI will just torch Alex Wasabi. And I think a fight against I think KSI versus Austin McBroom would be much more enjoyable because his footwork is really nice. So it'll be interesting to see him against KSI, who's more of who fights like a dog, who fights with his heart.
Yeah, like I posted on Twitter somewhere where I don't want to see that fight. To me, KSI's return is such a big deal because he beat Logan Paul, and Logan Paul went on to fight Floyd Mayweather. Like KSI is a really big name. Alex Osabi is not a big name. I think business wise that makes no sense. Clout wise, even though it's a KSI fight, it's gonna get views no matter what. But if KSI is preparing ultimately to fight Jake Paul, how is KSI gonna prepare with guys like Alex Wasabi who are not close to the level where Jake Paul has been at? I think Austin is an okay tune-up fight. Austin's really good, and then they'll get KSI into the ring. But Alex Wasabi to me just it doesn't. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, yeah, Alex Wasabi as a tune-up fight. Yeah, honestly, it's especially compared to like the people that Jake has fought. You know, Jake has fought Woodley twice, and honestly, Woodley was a lot better than I thought he would be. I know he has a good right overhand from his MMA career, especially like how he completely torched like Darren Till with that. But
Yep, and
Alex Wasabi is nowhere close to that level. And even Austin McBroom, like he will be much better than Alex Wasabi, but even then, he's also not on the level of Woodley.
Yeah, I mean,
agreed.
KSI versus Alex, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't even think it'd be a close fight, but I think KSI taking, a 3 year break, fighting McBroom would be a perfect test for him. McBroom's actually pretty good, and since KSI hasn't boxed in a bit, it'd actually be a pretty good fight, I think.
Yeah, and so moving on from boxing for a little bit, another big story on the internet right now is Tom Brady. Tom Brady unretiring, as he said, I think it was maybe 2 months ago where he said he's going to retire. That broke the internet. Now him unretiring is also another huge story. And for the football expert over here, Harshan, like, what's your reaction to that?
It's just insane, honestly. I mean, when he retired, like literally the whole sports world was talking about it because uh, I mean, it was rumored that he retired, but like when he officially announced it, like everyone was just in shock. Every team was in shambles. They were trying to like free agency became a mess, and then free agency started to pick up. And then it was 2 days ago. Brady was at the Man United game talking to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo asked, "Are you done?" And he gave him that little smirk, like I'm not sure. And literally the next day, he announces like he's coming back, and like so many teams are in a mess right now because they're trying to find players, and Brady just comes back out of nowhere. Signed with the same team again, so he's gonna play for them. And their like betting odds just shot up so much. Like they were like not favorites at all. Brady comes back, and now they're like I think runner-ups for Super Bowl champions. So it's just insane. Like it's not I'd say surprising that he came back because a lot of people weren't convinced that he was officially done. But a lot of people thought he would take at least one season off. Him coming back 2 months later is just insane. And who knows, he could just win another ring.
Yeah, so as you were talking about the betting odds went on, right? What are your like early official predictions for the next Super Bowl? Like who are the two teams that are gonna be there?
Uh, Even though Brady came back, I don't think he'll make it to the Super Bowl again. I mean, I don't want to jinx it because like every time I say that, he does end up there somehow, some way. But I do think the Rams will make it back. And from the other side, I do think the Bills. The Bills are the favorites right now from every team in the league to win the championship. I do think it would be the Bills versus the Rams.
The Bills versus the Rams.
Yeah.
What about what's the team that the Bengals? Why not
The
them?
Bengals? It was kind of like a miracle run. Like I was high on the Bengals. I mean, I still am. I do think they're a really good team, but I don't think they'll make it back. Not this year at least, because they did lose their tight end. Actually, he signed with a different team. He was a pretty good player for them. So losing that kind of hurts the Bengals, and they haven't made any other significant moves for them to like go back to the Super Bowl in my mind.
So other than that, other than of course Tom Brady coming back, is there anything new in the NFL world, football world?
Aaron Rodgers re-signed with Green Bay. A lot of people weren't sure where he was going to go. He was probably one of the biggest free agents. Like no one knew what he was going to do. And another big name, Russell Wilson. He signed with the Broncos. Actually, he was a Seahawks his whole career. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. So him going to the Broncos is a big switch up for the whole league. A lot more teams can compete this year. Like I thought last year was insane. Like I thought like almost any team could have won, and now it's like the competition's even tighter this year. So like this football season's gonna be insanity for sure.
Yeah, talking about insanity, fucking Donald Trump went on the Nelk Boys podcast, which is wow. Like I couldn't believe it. And then I watched the whole podcast. It was a fucking great episode, way better than I thought it would be. And during the episode, Donald Trump actually called it. He's like, the media is gonna take down this fucking podcast. It's gonna take down this episode. 24 hours in, 5.7 million views later, YouTube took down the episode. I don't get like how are they allowed to just do that? I know it's their company, they can do whatever, but like what do you guys think about that?
Oh, man, I guess YouTube's. I guess they're very super liberal, and they just don't. They probably just don't agree with what Donald Trump says because a lot of people hate on what Donald Trump has to say, and YouTube probably wants to keep good PR and decided to remove that podcast that was made.
I don't know, man. I just think that it was such a good episode.
Honestly, like I'm surprised YouTube took it down. Like even if they don't agree with what like Trump and all those views it pulled, like how fast. I don't know. I feel like it was the wrong move by YouTube. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Personally, it just doesn't make any sense. But It's insane though. The Nelk boys got Trump on their like Trump is arguably the biggest name in the world, and the Nelk
Yeah, I
boys
agree.
on a podcast, just insane.
I think the Nelk Boys are on a different level. On Spotify, they shot up to second most listened to podcasts. Like, I don't know how the rankings work, but first is, of course, Joe Rogan. Second is Nelk's Full Send podcast now, which is crazy. And you guys want to know, I think, what the reason YouTube gave for removing the podcast is because Donald Trump said the election is rigged.
That's such a lame excuse to take it down. Like, that's just like such a shitty reason. They're just bullshitting, honestly, just to take it down.
Yeah, content creators should just be allowed to make whatever they want to make, unless if it's explicitly like something wrong that they should not do, then they shouldn't make that, and YouTube should take it down. But yeah, honestly, like if it's just a podcast with Donald Trump, I understand he's controversial, but if was anything bad said during the interview?
I don't think so. I think, of course, Donald Trump is gonna,
Stir up
do
some
his thing,
controversial shit.
stir up some controversy, but I don't think he said anything too bad, other than, I guess, saying the election was rigged isn't the best thing to say. But even that, I don't think that should be a reason where a whole podcast gets taken down.
Yeah, then I don't think it should be taken down then. The content creators should just be allowed to make whatever they want to make. That's why they're on YouTube to begin with, right?
Exactly. But I think we live in a crazy world right now. Like we're talking about Jake versus Conor. Who would have thought fucking Donald Trump on the Full Send podcast? Like, I've been saying this for a while. I think YouTubers, TikTokers, influencers are the new celebrities, and it's crazy to see. And like speaking on like mainstream celebrities, fucking Kanye West, he doesn't shut his mouth about his whole drama with Pete Davidson and whatever his ex-wife Kim. But then a few days ago, I think 2 days ago, he made a video talking about how Pete is texting him saying, "I'm in bed with your wife," and then the text messages got leaked, and Pete really did do those things. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Honestly, the whole situation is it should not be public, especially with Pete texting like, "I'm in bed with your wife right now." This should definitely be kept private. This should not be public. It's just very messy for both sides, and especially for like their children who has to grow up with this. Like, it's just worse for them.
Yeah, I feel so bad for their kids, because when they grow up and they just hear all this bullshit, it's gonna be awful. They might get made fun of a lot, but as much as like Pete Davidson took it a bit too far, so did Kanye. Kanye had it coming. At the same time, like, I don't agree with what Pete Davidson said, like, "I'm in bed with your wife," whatever. But Kanye's been like stirring the pot for a good couple of weeks at least, and like he talks about it every day. Like, he's just trying to like start drama for no reason. Could easily solve this just like within each other, but for some reason wants to make it public every single time he talks. It just makes no sense. So what Pete Davidson did, it's not the worst.
Yeah, I've even seen Pete, like, in some of his text replies to Kanye, he talks about how he also went through a lot of mental health problems, and he said, like, instead of just venting this out, I could, in private, we could talk about this and we could get through this together. He's like, "I want to help you out, but you're here, just keep on taking shots at me. If you keep on taking shots at me, I'm not gonna hold back anymore."
Yeah, like he offered him help. Like, Pete Davidson, like, if you read the text, he was actually being polite at the near the end, and Kanye, I'm pretty sure, left him on red or something. But yeah, I don't know. It's just Kanye starting drama, and like he kept saying, "See me at Sunday church service" or something like that.
Yeah.
And Pete Davidson, like, "Let's talk in private. Like, why make this public?" I just don't understand what's going through Kanye's brain sometimes, man.
I don't know, man. Kanye is on some next shit. But like, even Pete Davidson, like, I found this guy very weird from the start. Even during the when I think it was Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. I think Pete Davidson got invited to, I don't know what he was doing there as like a guest host or something. But he was talking shit about both fighters, Jake and Ben. And I remember Ben tweeting out, "Oh, he's gonna fucking whoop Pete's ass." And then he goes into Ben's room. He's like, "Nah, bro, I'm a fan of you. Nobody wants to see Jake win." And then he goes into Jake's room and is like, "Yeah, fuck Ben Askren." And he even like in front of Jake, like before his big fight, brought up some false sexual harassment things, like which is I don't know how you're gonna do that, and it doesn't end there because during the fight he's commentating. He's also the guest commentator, and this guy he's not taking it serious at all. Like I know you're probably like no one expected him to take it serious, but come on, man, like respect the sport a little bit. He's just saying the stupidest shit, and I don't know. Ever since that day, I don't have respect for this guy. I don't see the hype for him.
Yeah,
I think
he's a comedian, I think. Like I don't even know, but yeah, he was just trying to stir up some drama. Like again, like I don't know. He was just bored out of his mind. Like no respect, like you said. He's just starting lies.
I guess he just saw the whole thing as like the whole Ben Askren versus Jake Paul thing as a joke. Like didn't take it seriously, and him as a comedian, I guess he just try to make a light out of it, and try to make people get invested into it through laughter, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I see what you're saying, but then going into people's locker room and bringing up like false allegations or like you get what I'm saying. That's messed up. Like the person already has a lot of pressure on him. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, especially like right before a fight, like that's honestly like really disrespectful. You should let the person prepare for a fight instead of asking them, sexual harassment allegations. That's a big thing to ask about from a person. So that is very disrespectful. You should not have done that.
Yeah, man. I guess we can wrap up the podcast there. Great episode. Great talking to you guys. And hopefully we have Deep and Harshawn back on. And I'll see you guys later, man.
Later.